Chris Scalzi here with
Matt Howell.
And on this episode of The First Run, Matt and I have discussed Captain Marvel, the latest in the Marvel Cinematic Universe franchise. As we're cruising in for Avengers Endgame. It's going to be the ultimate kind of chapter wrap up of everything we've been building towards, and I guess Captain Marvel is going to be the linchpin for a lot of this. So we get her origin story, Brie Larson as the titular captain, Sam Jackson in the 90s before he was all rough and grizzled, right? And then a whole bunch of other neat stuff. We're also going to talk about the Netflix film Triple Frontier. And then finally, because Disney has decided to move up the calendar, we're going to have to do our 2019 Summer Bracket Challenge. So I guess it works out, Matt, because we're close to March Madness anyway, right?
Right,
so
there you go.
Everything works together. It's symmetry, as the kids say. So let's start everything off with a clip from El Capitan Marvel.
Ho, ho! You want to get personal.
Where were you born?
Huntsville, Alabama, but technically I don't remember that part.
Name your first pet.
Mr. Snoofers.
Mr. Snoofers.
That's what I said. Did I pass?
Not yet. First job?
Soldier. Straight out of high school. Left the ranks of full bird colonel.
Then?
Spy.
Where?
It's the Cold War. We were everywhere. Belfast, Bucharest, Belgrade, Budapest. I like the bees. I can make them ride.
Now?
Been riding the desk for the past 6 years, trying to figure out where our future enemies are coming from. Never occurred to me they would be coming from above.
Name a detail so bizarre a scroll could never fabricate it.
A toast is cut diagonally. I can't eat it. You didn't need that, did you?
No, I didn't, but I enjoyed it.
Okay, your turn. Prove you're not a scroll.
So, Matt, the proof is in the blowing up of the jukebox. So, as always, every episode of The First Run is particularly mastered for a listening experience. This one, as always, is adopting a new cat who may or may not be a cat. This is the best way to listen to this episode. Matt, why don't you tell the kind folks at home, what is Captain Marvel all about?
All right. So Carol Danvers, she is a former test pilot. And for whatever reason, she has no memory of who she is, and she has been taken by the Kree and given special powers to be a warrior in their war against the Skrulls, a race of shape-shifting aliens who are supposedly taking over the galaxy. She gets into a battle with them, and she ends up being catapulted to Earth, where she lands and runs into Mr. Fury as they hunt down the Skrulls.
And Phil Coulson.
And Phil Coulson, that's right.
We get to see the younger versions of a lot of people in this, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have Korath, you have Ronan the Accuser. There's a few, as well as Phil and Nick. So there's a bunch of other people who make appearances in this thing as their late 90s selves. So, Matt, when we were talking about Captain Marvel, listen, we're both big Brie Larson fans on this show. Well, again, I feel like this is a weekly reminder. If you haven't seen Short Term 12, please go check it out. It is a wonderful film. And then, of course, Simply Room, the film she won the Oscar for. So we're both big Brie fans. When the trailers for Captain Marvel hit, we had some concerns, particularly in the line deliveries.
Right.
Matt, how did everything turn out?
All right, so I don't know if this is going to end up being divisive between the two of us. I'm going to have to say that I did not find Ms. Larson particularly compelling through this film. Now, I can say this. I don't think it's really saying too much of a spoiler where she's kind of supposed to be this kind of blank, this emotionless kind of warrior kind of thing. And that's really what she's going for. And they explicitly say that many times throughout the thing. But I don't know, man. I didn't find her that compelling. And I was really kind of disappointed by that. I found everybody around her very compelling. I thought Samuel Jackson was fun. Ben Mendelsohn was an absolute delight throughout the whole thing. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think my worst fears were realized. It was just she was kind of blah for me.
Here's the thing. You're right and you're wrong. I don't feel that. I don't lay this at the feet of Brie Larson. I think what we have is one of the weaker scripts in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think that's what we're dealing with here. I wasn't as impressed with everybody else. Now, Ben Mendelsohn is Ben Mendelsohn, and he elevates everything he's in. But still, overall, I think that this thing just kind of plods along for the first 2/3 of it.
Right.
Everything felt very perfunctory. Everything just... I had a lot of issues with this thing, except for the final act. I think that this film nails the "I know who I am" moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
When she figures everything out, basically,
Right.
and becomes Captain Marvel.
Right.
I think that may be the best, if not one of the best moments of that in any Marvel film.
Sure.
I think they just absolutely nail the final act in this thing. But the first 2/3, even a little longer, it's filled with a bunch of interesting ideas that kind of partially work, right? You have Goose, you have young and fun Fury before he's angry Fury all the time.
Yeah.
There's the twistaroo that we won't get into.
Yeah.
But for me, and just like Black Panther, I think it's an important cultural milestone for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Keeping in mind we already had a strong female superhero film with Wonder Woman, but I feel like it's maybe even a bit too late. We could have had a great maybe Black Widow film 6 years ago.
Right.
And we're just getting that thing put together now.
Right.
But I think the best way I can describe this is that this is very much more a Captain America First Avenger than it is a Captain America Winter Soldier.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think you're exactly right. I mean, and maybe I overstated things. I would say everybody around her is not exactly compelling. I don't think any of the Kree are particularly compelling. Jude Law is kind of dialing it in. But like I said, I really enjoyed Ben Mendelsohn. But here's the thing, and this is where I struggle with it. I agree with you that Larson is, and everybody else is really just hampered by like a really mediocre script. And
it's just, I mean, the dialogue and interactions, even in that clip we played, it's just not good. It doesn't have any life. And here's the other thing. Even when she kind of goes full on Captain Marvel and shows off her powers and stuff like that, even the way it was filmed and the action scenes, a lot of them were not that exciting. Like, especially the big final one, it was just like too little too late kind of thing. And before I kind of move on, I kind of got annoyed with the kind of like, we get it, it's the 90s soundtrack thing. After a while, I was like, okay, I've had enough of this. I lived through this once. I don't need to hear it again. It was like kind of like I struggle with that a little bit with Bumblebee. But I think it was handled a little better than the Bumblebee. I mean, Bumblebee handled it better.
Yeah, it was not quite as obnoxious as this was, but I think you're exactly right. I describe this as middling. I describe this as middling Marvel for me. So I didn't say it's not the worst that they've done by any stretch of the means. I mean, it's still better than probably those first two Thor films. It's better than Iron Man 2. But like I said, when somebody asked me, I said, to me, it's middle Marvel, and I would compare it to, First Avenger or Doctor Strange or even Iron Man 3. Like, I mean, they had their moments, but they're not great. And I really was hoping for a lot more with this, just because A, it's the first thing we've seen after Infinity War. B, it's kind of Marvel's first attempt to kind of knock it out of the park with, a female-led superhero film. And it's just kind of like, it's just there. It just kind of comes out and is like, okay, that's it. And like nobody, like honestly, I don't really care about it anymore. Now I'm all in on Endgame and just kind of want to go there. And I think we could have had, and I think part of why this suffers though is that, you talked about the Black Widow film. At least Black Widow and Scarlett Johansson, she has a lot of backstory and a lot of character that she's lived in, and she's been good in everything in every appearance that she's in. Where it's not like she's just kind of plopping in the first time you see her, and here it is, and it's just kind of like, kind of thing.
Yeah. Do you think it's at all handcuffed by the tried and true Marvel formula for these movies?
Yeah. So one of the things I was kind of hinting at last episode, because I had already seen this, is I never thought I would say this, but I got a little bit of Marvel fatigue from this. Like, I wasn't really kind of like, this is the same thing I've seen before. And I never thought I would say that, but what I've really started to notice is that when it's the first film like, especially if they're introducing like a new character in their own film, it's not that great, and I don't know why. I mean, like the ones I just mentioned, Thor, obviously, with the notable exception of Iron Man, they're all just not that great. Even Ant-Man, which has pieces of it that I really love in that movie, like is not that great as a whole. It's like they actually get better with their sequels when they kind of like start to know what to do with the characters. So maybe that's just what this is. It's just, you know, the kind of, okay, yet another origin story, yet another kind of, let's see all the same character beats again kind of thing, and let's just establish what we got to establish and then move on.
I think that's exactly right. For Captain Marvel, Matt, I'm giving it a B-, only saved basically by that final act, that moment when Brie realizes who she is, and we go through the past where she remembers herself at that different stages in her life. That was exceptionally well done, and it elevates it from a C+ to a B- film for me, really, on the strength of that final act.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a B- too. I mean, like I said, it was pretty good. It was, but I was just hoping for so much more, and I was kind of disappointed by it. But it has some bright spots. The parts that you mentioned, Ben Mendelsohn, I'll say again, is really good. And my only concern with this going forward is that, one, you know, there was nobody who could stand up against her in this film. So I hope we don't have like a Superman problem on our hands where she's so powerful that like there's nothing that, you know, can like challenge her kind of thing. Because even Thor, who's supposedly the strongest Avenger, gets his butt whooped on the regular. So at least that's kind of what I'm hoping we kind of get going forward. And I'm going to be really annoyed if she comes in and just kind of like takes over Endgame, because I'm less concerned with her and I want to see what everybody else does in the rest in this next film. So we'll see.
So supposedly there's a bunch of nods to Pulp Fiction in this, and I only caught the one. Are there some other ones, or at least some Sam Jackson nods?
Nothing that immediately stuck out to me. In fact, I probably saw it at the time, but I don't remember what it is, the nod that you're talking about.
Where one of the characters is drinking a soda through the straw, like in the exact same head angle as he is in Pulp Fiction.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yep. All right. I guess. Yeah. I didn't even notice that at the time, but yes, now I know.
Supposedly there's some others, and there's also some uproar about how this is part of the incel group with how Nick gets his eye damaged. Because he said it's because he trusted somebody, and that's why he'll never do it again.
Yeah,
it's all for the part of a joke. You ruin the plot and the gravitas of that scene when he talks to, I don't remember who he's talking to. Is he talking to Cap?
I mean, you do ruin the gravitas of that scene, but it's also kind of funny to think of that. The reason, like, I could totally see Nick lying about it just because he wants to be like a badass. You know, I mean, it fit. I kind of appreciated that. I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah, exactly.
Although he seemed fine. So I guess whatever happened to his eye didn't actually hurt. You know, even though
that was weird too, right? He's very
he was nonchalant about it, like, oh, you know, my eyeball's not falling out, kind of thing. You know, so
fair enough. If you had a chance to see Captain Marvel, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Matt, funny thing. So I was putting the notes together for this week's show, and I realized last week we did the Blu-ray and DVD picks for this week.
Oh, okay.
I jumped ahead a week.
All right.
So we're gonna tell you actually came out last week, just so you know. That way you don't miss out on it.
Yeah, we're timely. Do it.
So, there you go.
I think this is the best Kentucky Fried Chicken I ever had. But I guess it's fresher down here, right?
I don't think I've ever met anyone with your appetite.
No, I got the bucket so you could have some.
I've never had fried chicken in my life.
Who you bullshitting? You people love the fried chicken, the grits and the collard greens. I love it too. Negro cooks used to make it all the time when I was in the army.
You have a very narrow assessment of me, Tony.
Yeah, right? I'm good.
No, you're not good. You're bad. I'm saying just because other Negroes enjoy certain types of music, it doesn't mean I have to, nor do we all eat the same kind of food.
Bro, wait a minute. If you said all guineas like pizza and spaghetti and meatballs, I'm not going to get assaulted.
You're missing the point. For you to make the assumption that every Negro...
Hey, you want some or not?
No.
Oh, God.
Oscar, folks. Oscar worthy.
So that's a clip from Green Book, your best picture of 2018. Fantastic Beasts, Crimes of Grindelwald are coming out as well. includes some deleted scenes. And supposedly J.K. Rowling dropped this past weekend that Dumbledore and Grindelwald had a passionate affair at one point.
Right.
And I don't know how much of this stuff I can handle. How many more of these revelations? Yeah.
I know. She just needs to leave well enough alone, man. Just, I mean, I if you want to make something, write another book. How about that? You know, just keep going. But no, just keep dropping stuff.
There's supposed to be an extended cut of the film as well, as if the last one wasn't interminably long. Mortal Engines is being released, includes a bunch of making of featurettes and audio commentary with the director Christian Rivers. The Miseducation of Cameron Post is coming out with Chloe Grace Moretz, where she gets sent to a gay conversion therapy center. An independent film that's supposed to be quite good. The horror film Piercing is being released. A man kisses his wife and baby goodbye, seemingly heads away on a business trip, where the real plan is to check into a hotel, call an escort service, and kill an unsuspecting prostitute. I believe that's a Disney film. New to Blu-ray, Criterion is releasing The Kid Brother, starring the silent film legend Harold Lloyd. He plays a sheriff's milquetoast son with a chance to prove himself when a medicine show run by a Connors comes into town. Features a new 4K digital restoration, an audio commentary from 2005, and a bunch of other featurettes. Criterion has also released The Magic Flute with a new 2K digital restoration. Interview with the film's director, Ingmar Bergman, back in '74. A new interview with film scholar Peter Cowie. A feature-length documentary on the making of the film, and more. Scream is releasing the... Oh boy, I'm blanking on the guy's name now. Lance Henriksen. Thank you, Matt. Horror film about the genetically enhanced dog, man's best friend, that goes rogue, starring Ali Sheedy. The new 2K remaster of that one, a new audio commentary with the writer-director John LaFia. Arrow is releasing Colobos, the late 90s slasher film that, according to Arrow, is a lost classic. No, I'm not familiar with this at all, Matt. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of Colobos, but it's supposedly marketed as a little more than a generic horror flick at the time. It's far from a run-of-the-mill slasher clone. It's more in common with the booby-trap stylings of Cube and the reality TV theme of My Little Eye. It's a new 2K restoration with an original negative, audio commentary by the writers and directors, and a bunch of other making-of featurettes and some other stuff as well. MVD is releasing Showdown, the Ken Scott, Billy Blanks movie. It includes finally the original R-rated version of the film, which I guess maybe it was released as unrated at some point. It's a martial arts blockbuster from the director of The Best is the Best. And there are 5 new making-of featurettes on this one, including a feature-length documentary on the making of the film. Arrow is releasing The Prisoner, not the... I don't believe it's the classic TV show, but it's banned from Cannes and the Venice Film Festivals for being an anti-communist and excoriated, a word I do not get to say enough, as a pro-Soviet piece of propaganda. Peter Glenville's The Prisoner stoked controversy at the time of its original release and remains a complex, challenging, and multifaceted exploration of faith and power. Includes a high-definition transfer of the film, the original mono audio, and some other making of featurettes. And the first pressing, Matt, includes an illustrated collector's booklet featuring new writing on the film. Your straight-to-DVD pick of the week, Matt, is going to be Vengeance, a Love Story. Walking home with her 12-year-old daughter after midnight on the 4th of July, Tina crosses paths with some local losers to be brutally gang-raped with her daughter, Bethy, watching. Bethy is able to identify the rapist, Matt, when the rapists hire a hotshot attorney who attacks Tina's character, Dromore, a local police officer who was first in the scene when the police are called, starts to take matters into his own hands. So it's a kind of a death wish thing, but at this time it's the cop who goes after everybody. So there's that. Matt, what should we be streaming this week?
Well, I'm going to give you something, a piece of high and a piece of low. So on Amazon Prime right now, just released is a Oscar-winning film that deserves to win. It's well-deserved win, is In the Heat of the Night, starring Sidney Poitier as a Philadelphia homicide detective who gets embroiled in a homicide investigation in the Deep South. They call him Mr. Tibbs. And Dick, if you want to kind of pair that with something that's at the absolute bottom of the barrel, but it's also fun, Troll 2 is also available on Amazon Prime. So it's a 1-2 punch. You can start with In the Heat of the Night, and then you can cleanse your palate with Troll 2.
That's quite the gift.
Yeah.
Troll 2. If you haven't seen Troll 2, it is quite the trip. It's a good double bill with The Room for absolutely sure. You're not going to do much worse and better. Matt, let's go ahead then and move on, and let's tell the kids about the Netflix action movie, Triple Frontier. Here's a clip.
Oh, I have kids over here. Does he have kids living in here with him? Is this going to make things a whole lot more complicated and is not what I signed up for?
The family's not the problem. They're the answer.
Why? Church.
Maria is very devout. Every Sunday morning, he sends 3 guards to the 6 a.m. service. When they get back, he sends the rest of the team along with his family into town to mass. That leaves him and 3 guards in that house. That's our window.
Why would he do that?
Worried about someone taking his kids. And he never leaves his money. And also, I don't think he believes anyone actually has the balls to come out here and rob him.
But we do. J.C. Chandler returns, Matt. He delivered us. Now, I haven't seen Margin Call, his first film, but I have seen All Is Lost and A Most Violent Year. 2 films I enjoy immensely. If you haven't seen them, I would say check them out. So now he teams up with Ben Affleck, Oscar Isaac, Charlie Hunnam, oh boy, Garrett Hedlund, and Pedro Pascal. And these gentlemen play a group of former special operations soldiers, and they decide to reunite, Matt, to plan a heist job on a South American crime boss, drug dealer, drug lord type thing. So that was them specking out the scene, Matt. And then, of course, they go in to kill the bad guy and get the money. And then, of course, everything goes wrong. Matt, this is not an action extravaganza. I hesitate to call it an action film. I mean, it has some action moments in it, but I found this to be more of a drama about the cost of greed. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, yeah, I guess that fits. I mean, it's kind of like a
with shooting, pew pew.
It's a bit of a heist film, a bit of a chase film. You know, and you're right. I think it's really just kind of you know, the price of greed, as well as kind of like what you do with these people who are veterans who are trained to kind of do this kind of stuff. And you know, the kind of, it's just interesting to see the kind of lives they lead, you know, the kind of milquetoast lives they mostly leave, you know, on back in the States. And it's just I don't know. It wasn't really what I was expecting, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's more of a, I don't want to say remake, but it's kind of like Wages of Fear, or the U.S. remake of the Wages of Fear, The Sorcerer. So I feel it's a missed opportunity. I feel Chandler is trying to tell a greater story that kind of gets away from him a bit, especially now when you have people like, I'm not sure how much you follow the news, but you have your Eric Princes and stuff, and there's also discussions right now of potentially handing off the war in Afghanistan to a military contractor, I guess is the politically correct way to say that now. And I think there's an opportunity here for a deeper narrative or comment on that type of stuff. And particularly if you've seen A Most Violent Year, I think you'd get a perfect example of Chandler making a more meta commentary about the subject he's portraying. But that doesn't really happen here. I think there are attempts at it, particularly, as I said, to focus on at what point is your life or a life more important than the money type of a thing, as they try and escape with all of this money. $250 million, brother, when they were only going in for, what did they think they were going to get, like 60, 75?
Right. So,
and everything that kind of happens to them as they try and make their way out of Colombia and back to the States. I think if anything, it may be saved by the cast. I hesitate to even include Hunnam in that descriptor. Now, he still hasn't crossed the Tatum line. I'm not sure if he ever will. But overall, I think the cast in this is pretty good. Though I struggle with Affleck. I was about to say, he seems like he's phoning it in way more than Hunnam was. I mean... Yeah. No, he almost felt like an albatross around this film's neck, and I'm not quite sure. Now, I know his character takes a turn, and he's supposed to be more brooding and struggling and stuff, but it just seemed more kind of like, all right, than it did a fascinating kind of character choice, you know? I don't know. It was interesting, but I love me some Pedro Pascal. Even Garrett Hedlund, who has kind of been in a lot of bad stuff. So if you're not familiar with Garrett, he was the star of the attempt to relaunch the Tron franchise. And then he's been in a bunch of middling stuff since then, for the most part. I mean, he was in what's the Oscar Isaac's Coen Brothers movie where he plays the folk singer?
Oh, Inside Llewellyn Davis or something like that.
So he's in that. But he actually, I think, turns out one of the more interesting performances in this thing. Oscar Isaacs is strong as well. But overall, yeah, it just doesn't work, I think, as well as it could have. I don't know if it's because Chandler's too focused on trying to tell a morality tale inside of an action movie and kind of losing the thread on both. I don't know. But it's fine. It's maybe gritty enough and entertaining enough for a Sunday watch on Netflix, but I think that's about as far as I could go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about right. I mean, if you're looking for something that's I mean, it's like you said, it's got a great cast, and it's kind of interested in these guys, and just looking for something to watch on an afternoon on Netflix. It certainly do worse, that's for sure. As far as Netflix originals go, for sure.
There's no doubt about that. So I'm gonna give Triple Frontier, Matt, a C. The gentleman C. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a C+. All
right. I think that's okay. I'll allow it.
Okay, thank you.
If you had a chance to see Triple Frontier, which is available on Netflix right now, shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Matt, it's bracket time, baby.
Bracketology, it's Selection Sunday.
So I'm going to take a quick break and come back. And it's going to be basically a rundown of all the movies that we're most excited about. Is that fair? Up and through August, I guess.
So. Yeah.
I don't know. We'll talk about it when we get back. First off, here's a little clippy clip of one film that I think Matt is going to go pretty far.
Okay, let's call the cops.
I did. They're 14 minutes away.
What? 14 minutes? Okay. Jason, give me the bat.
What bat?
The baseball bat. The bat. There's one in the corner.
Here.
Thank you.
Gabe.
All right, hold on. I got this. Let's try this again.
Gabe.
No. All right.
Gabe.
I got this. Now, I thought I already done told y'all to get off my property, okay? So if y'all want to get crazy, we can get crazy.
So, of course, that is a clip from Us, the latest Jordan Peele film after the fantastically successful and just plain old fantastic film. I totally blanked on it. Get Out. Good Lord, man.
Seriously.
Winston Duke and Lupita Nyong'o, along with Elizabeth Moss, star in Us. So, Matt, I think that's going to have some legs, brother. I think that's going to go how far. So, typically, what we used to do with this is I'd break it up by genre. And then I realized that wasn't good because I think, going by genre cuts some films off at the knees, right? Because we're losing them right away.
Right.
Because they're going up against similar films. And also, too, we did not include Once Upon a Time in Hollywood because I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, but I think that would have been our number ones. I think that would have gone all the way.
Yeah, I think so. That's probably the one that I'm most excited to see this summer.
So we did not include that because it would have been the default. It would not have made this interesting at all.
Right.
So, Matt, I'll go first. Well, actually, let's run through the brackets once.
Okay.
And then we'll go through them individually. We'll just trade off.
Okay.
So I'll go to the first one, and then you go down, and then we're gonna go over. So first in the Tarantino bracket, we have Captain Marvel versus Rocket Man, the Elton John film.
Yep.
Avengers Endgame and Toy Story 4.
Right.
And what do you got there for the next bracket? What's that one?
So we've got the Wes Anderson bracket. Is it Wes or PT Anderson?
It was
could
PT.
be any. It just says Anderson. So,
it was PT. I didn't even think of that. PT Anderson.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with Wes Anderson. He can be the PT Anderson bracket on Chris's sheet. But we got Spider-Man Far From Home versus John Wick 3, and Men in Black International versus Aladdin.
In the Villeneuve bracket, we have Hellboy versus Lion King. And then Fast and Furious Hobbs and Shaw versus Pokemon Detective Pikachu.
And in the Del Toro bracket, we have Shazam versus Us and Pet Cemetery versus Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
All right, so we'll start off in Tarantino, Matt. I got Captain Marvel versus Rocket Man. Now, we've seen Captain Marvel.
Right.
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm an Elton John greatest hits guy. All right?
Yeah.
I am not that big into Elton John.
No.
Now, Taylor Egerton is going to play the titular Elton. I should say the titular Rocket Man.
Sure.
And it's getting pretty good buzz right now. I don't even know who directed that Bad Bear. I'm going to take a quick little peek. Oh, yeah, Dexter Fletcher. Who's Dexter Fletcher? I don't know who that is. So, I think I'm going to go in the end. I may have, I'm going to go Captain Marvel. I'm just going to go with my superhero roots.
Okay.
What about you?
I am also at best an Elton John greatest hits thing, and it's usually and really the only Elton John greatest hits that I like are when he was still with Bernie Taupin. His 80s output I'm not a huge fan of, and I just don't like biopics as a general rule, nor do I like musicals as a general rule. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Captain Marvel by default, even though I was underwhelmed by it.
Fair enough. I think Fletcher may have been the guy who finished Bohemian Rhapsody after Singer was summarily dismissed.
I see.
All right, you got Captain Marvel. So then we have Avengers Endgame versus Toy Story 4.
Right.
I'm going to AE on that one.
Yeah, I'm going to Endgame as well. You got it.
All right. There you go. Surprise,
right.
surprise.
Surprise,
So,
surprise.
What do you got in your Wes, air quotes, Anderson bracket?
Okay, so this one is this is the one I curse your name the most at. I have to choose between Spider-Man Far From Home and John Wick 3. And it really kills me to do this, but I'm going to have to go with John Wick 3 because every time I watch that trailer, I get more excited for it.
Interesting. So you're going with Wick.
I'm
leaning towards Spider-Man Far From Home.
Are you really?
Because of Mysterio, which is one of my all-time favorites. And I'm wondering if the bloom is going to be off the rose a little bit on John Wick 3. I mean, third films outside of Lost Crusade, right? How typically great are they? Return of the Jedi is okay.
Yeah.
Dark Knight Rises, Superman 3, Batman Forever. Batman
Forever.
Godfather Part 3.
Yeah.
Jason.
But you also
Part 3. Well, that's
we got Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Got Good and the Bad, the Ugly.
Yeah, that's true. Is that really a trilogy, though, officially?
Close enough.
So you're going with John Wick 3. I do not know.
I know. I love Spider-Man so much. I was so mad at you when you put this here, especially when you look at some of the other ones, which we'll get into in a few minutes. But I was so irritated that you put this here.
How do you think I feel about the Del Toro bracket?
All right, well.
For that top one. So I guess I'm going to go Spider-Man.
Yeah. Okay. I can't be mad at you for that.
I guess. I guess. Yeah. No, I'm going Wick.
You're going Wick.
You know why?
Why?
Because I've watched John Wick and John Wick 2 probably at least three times each. I've watched Spider-Man since I bought it once.
Right.
I think
go
ahead.
John Wick fighting guys on motorcycles with samurai swords while he's on a horse. I mean, come on.
Yeah. I'm leaning on rewatchability here, so I'm going with Wick 3. We'll have to see if the diminishing returns thing holds true, and I'm wrong. We'll just have to find out.
All right. All right. So then we got Men in Black International and Aladdin. Well, I don't think either of these are going to be great. I'm going with Men in Black just based on the charms of Tessa Thompson and Chris Hemsworth over that abomination that I've seen as far as Aladdin goes.
That first full trailer, I felt better.
Okay.
After that teaser. Especially since Will Smith isn't blue the whole time.
Sure.
But I'm inclined to agree with you. I think that Hemsworth and Thompson are the only thing elevating the Men in Black film for me because I hate those movies. I hate them. Outside, the third one is tolerable. The first two, outside of Vincent D'Onofrio in that first film, are atrociously bad.
Yeah, they really are. But man, Hemsworth and Thompson are super charming, and it's like I had a great time with them in Thor, so I'm on board. Let's see what you can do.
All right, back over to Villeneuve. Hellboy versus The Lion King.
Okay, so this is tough. All right, so I've been underwhelmed with the Hellboy trailers.
They've both been bad.
They've both been.
They've done the cardinal sin of incorporating kind of classic, if you could almost say tired 70s rock songs. And just like Captain Marvel, the line deliveries we have seen so far have not been good.
But Moni Moni is an 80s film, is an 80s song, right?
Is it the original?
I think so. It's the Billy Idol version.
That's not the original.
Well, yeah, but that's the one they used.
68.
It's
Tommy James and the Shondells.
But it's not Tommy James though. It's the Billy Idol version.
No, you're right. It is.
Yeah.
Well, I will not have my 80s besmirched at all.
That's even worse. You will not have them besmirched.
But yeah.
So you're going with Lion King by default?
No, because the fact that they market it as a live action film infuriates me, and it's not a live action film. It's. I like David Harbour. Yeah. I like Neil Marshall a lot.
Right.
I think he's kind of the modern day. Not that John Carpenter's dead or anything, but he's not working as much now, if at all.
Sure.
So for me, Neil Marshall is the modern day kind of John Carpenter, and on that alone, I think I'm choosing Hellboy over Lion King. Lion King is just you know what? I haven't seen a single one of these air quotes live action Disney movies.
Yeah.
Not a one. There's something about them that it doesn't appeal to me. I guess this will be the first one I see, that or Aladdin, whichever one comes out first.
Sure.
But I have no juice for it whatsoever. So I'm more interested in Hellboy, even though we'll see.
Yeah. I'm picking Hellboy as well. I'm just hoping one of two things, that they're really holding back a lot, just because either they have to or something in the trailers, and it's going to be a lot more fun than you might think. And I'm just morally opposed to this entire thing that Disney's doing with these kind of live action air quotes remakes. I wasn't on board with Beauty and the Beast. I wasn't on board with The Jungle Book. I'm not on board with Aladdin or this. So
Cinderella too, right?
Yeah, and Cinderella. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, I'm just not the target demographic, but I'm just not gonna. I'm doing a bracket. I'm not gonna pick it to win. I don't care.
There you go.
Yeah.
What's next, Matt? Or it's me. Fast and Furious, Hobbs and Shaw versus Pokemon Detective Pikachu.
Yeah, and screw you for making me pick one of these movies. Okay, so here's the thing. I am not a fan of the Fast and Furious films. I don't get it. I don't see what the allure is. I'm not really that sold on Dwayne Johnson or, for the most part, or Jason Statham. So I think I'm gonna live to regret this, but I'm gonna pick Detective Pikachu. I'm not interested in Pokemon at all, but maybe there's something to sell it with Ryan Reynolds involved. I don't really know, but I'm willing to give it at least. Maybe it'll surprise me, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's where I was kind of leaning towards. Now, here's the thing: I like The Rock, I like Jason Statham, but I hate the Fast and Furious franchise.
Yeah.
And its unrelenting stupidity.
Right.
And part of me wants to choose Pokemon because what if it's just an S-load of fun? Right. What if it's just some crazy kind of insane, wacky film? And I think that's why I'm going to probably go with Pokemon too. There's something about that. I don't know how you get me to listen. This is how bad you are, Fast and Furious franchise.
Right.
That you had me choose Pokemon over The Rock and Statham.
A franchise that I literally know nothing about. I know nothing about. But here we go. Here we are.
Crazy. All right, Matt, what's the last bracket?
All right, so the Del Toro bracket. So this is going to be, if Spider-Man John Wick was my Sophie's choice, this is going to be Chris's. First up, we got Shazam versus Us. So I'm actually really looking forward to Shazam. I think it looks like it's a lot of fun, and I'm really hoping it does well for DC, but I'm just going to have to go with Us because that looks like an excellent film, whereas this, I think it's just not really fair to compare the two, but I'm going to go with Us for sure.
Yeah, it kills me, but so am I.
Yeah.
I am desperate to fall in love with Shazam. Early reviews are saying it is a blast and it's a lot of fun. But everything I'm hearing about Us is like another level by Peele here. And I love to Get Out. And if he's able to elevate his game even more with this thing, I think it's going to be possibly one of the best films of the year. Mm-hmm. So it kills me to do it, but I chose Us over Shazam as well. It just bothers me. But you know what? In the end, no matter how the bracket fell, Us was going to be over Shazam at some point. So
sure, that's very true. It's very true. All right, so then the last of the bracket is Pet Sematary versus Godzilla King of the Monsters. Is it King of Monsters or King of the Monsters?
King of the Monsters. I was just
lazy,
giving myself some room.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to go with Godzilla just because, one, not always sold on Stephen King films. This is basically everything that I want, I think, from a Godzilla film. So here we are.
We lost you after something about Stephen King films.
There's something about Stephen King films. Just let me know when you're ready to go.
Yeah, hold on me.
There's something about Stephen King films. I don't know what it is. They don't really hold my interest. I mean, I thought it was just okay. So I'm going to go with Godzilla just because I'm a huge Godzilla nerd. I loved it as a kid, and this is everything I want.
Yeah, I think I'm entirely on board with you. I'm going with Godzilla as well. I loved Channel 56 on Saturdays. They would run all the old Godzilla movies, and I've always been a huge fan. And we're going to get Rodan, Ghidorah, and Mothra in this thing. Come on. It's going to be... I love the one that came out a few years ago outside of the Aaron Taylor Johnson subplot, which was just... I want to do what is it Zach? What did he do when he re-edited the Star Wars movies or something?
Oh, it's Topher Grace.
Topher Grace.
Yeah.
I want to do that with that Godzilla film and just take that whole subplot right out of the film.
So interestingly enough, there is a site out there called fanedits.org where people make fan edits of films. There's a bunch of them for The Hobbit where people are just trying to make it into like a 2 or 3 hour film. But I would be interested to see, maybe there is an Aaron Johnson's, missing edit of Godzilla out there. You have to check it out. I'll have to look.
Man, watch that cast him as Batman. So, yeah, but I think Godzilla is the only correct answer for that. All right, jump back over to Tarantino, Matt. You ready?
Yeah.
Captain Marvel versus Avengers Endgame.
I have to go with Endgame. I can't imagine it's not better than what we just saw.
I agree.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Then John Wick versus Men in Black.
John Wick 3 all the way for that.
Exactly. Me too.
Hellboy versus Pokemon.
I'm gonna have to go with Hellboy. I don't know how much legs Detective Pikachu can have for me. I
agree. I agree entirely. Go ahead.
And then Us versus Godzilla.
I'm going.
I think this is the toughest one. Go ahead.
It's Us.
It's Us. It's Us.
Yeah.
I really want to pick Godzilla a lot. Like, I feel like I'm going to really enjoy and have a lot of rewatching with Godzilla, but I think Us is going to be the better film. So I'll go with Us. I think this might be one of the first years where we've had the same thing going through the entire thing so far.
I think so.
Okay.
The guy who's doing Godzilla 2, he did Trick or Treat.
Mm-hmm.
And then he did Krampus, which is pretty good.
Right.
If you haven't seen Krampus. All right, then. So now it's Avengers Endgame versus John Wick 3.
I'm the fanboy. I'm gonna go with Endgame.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah,
I think that's right. And Matt, your semifinals, what are the options?
Is Hellboy versus Us, and I'm gonna have to say I'm sure Us is gonna wipe the floor with Hellboy.
I agree. So your finals is Avengers Endgame versus Us.
So what do we do if we have the same? If we're completely the same? You know what?
There's no money riding on this one.
There's no money riding on this one. Yeah.
The only answer is Us. I don't know why you're even pausing.
I don't know if that's true. I really don't know if that's true. I'm gonna say Endgame just to be contrary. That's
Okay.
what it says in my heart of hearts.
So the summer film of 2019, I choose Us. Matt chooses Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
All right. There you go. So we'll post a bracket online. I'll have a link to it in the show notes and on the website itself. If you want to fill out your bracket and shoot it over to us at feedback@thefirstrun.com. That would be really cool, man.
Mm-hmm.
Next week. Oh, doggy. So, next week, what we're supposed to be doing is we're going to be seeing Captive State, but for sure we're going to do Climax as well. Gaspar Noé's film about a bunch of kids at a dance club and somebody spikes the punch with LSD basically, and everything goes horribly, horribly wrong.
And if you've seen a Gaspar Noé film, you know this is going to be super weird.
Yes. So I'm super excited to talk about that. Also, just so you know, if you are in the Tampa Bay area, come hit me up. I will be at the Gasparilla International Film Festival. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. I will be tweeting and Instagramming my experience at GIF. But find me and maybe we can grab a drink and hang out, and you can tell me how awesome I am, and I'll tell you how awesome you are for listening to the show. We'll also be available on the Facebooks and the YouTubes. Just do a search for The First Run. Scroll. Eventually you will find us. Go over to Apple Podcasts and drop a review on them. That's how other people will find the show. All right, Matt. Well, I think that's going to be the big show for this week.
All right.
We're going to go ahead and take an extended break, and we will see you all soon.
This is a tasty burger.